He's very actively on his defensive side of the game, and we know offensively, the stolen base and the extra base hits are his game. His average is down lately, so I look for Houston to give him as much time as he needs, and we'll just wait and see. But for right now, Aldemus Diaz will be, it appears, taking his place on the infield. And so if you're in a daily or weekly league, he may be someone that you want to add for the next few days at least. Another injury last night, maybe not of the same significance, but certainly significant to his team and to first base fantasy owners, is Brandon Belt. Now, Brandon Belt left the game last night against the Reds, experiencing soreness in his right knee while running out a ground ball in the 8th inning. The same knee that he has had 2 separate surgeries on during his career. Okay, so, Brandon Belt not having a good year. I think we'd all agree on that. I don't even know how many leagues he's owned in. 10-team leagues, probably not. But if you're an owner of Brandon Belt, you need to be aware that this is an injury to a surgically repaired twice already knee. Who got hurt from the Astros, Cha-Cha? Jose Altuve got hurt, and it's a hamstring. And I was just saying Aldemus Diaz will be taking his place. He came in for him last night. I'm concerned about, I was reading Houston newspapers this morning, getting ready for the show. It's really unknown how long Altuve is going to be out for Houston. He's not having the best of years, and I think from a power perspective, he's hit a lot of home runs, but his batting average is way down. It has nothing to do with the injury last night. But we'll have to see Aldemus Diaz in the lineup for just a little while, hopefully not any longer than we have to. So those are some of the stars, if you will, from last night. I want to take just a moment to look at the standings. I love doing that. I love the standings. So let's look at the National League Senior Circuit first. And not to read all of these, but just to go through generally where we are. The Phillies lead the Braves by 3 games, and the Mets by 3.5, and the Nationals by 6.5. The Cubs and the Brewers are tied atop the National League Central, with St. Louis a 1.5 games out and Pittsburgh 3.5 games out. The Dodgers have the best record in the National League at 26-15 after 41 games. They have a 3-game lead over Arizona, a 4-game lead over San Diego, and a 6.5-game lead over the Giants. In the American League, and I said this earlier, Tampa Bay now leads the Yankees by only a half game, and Boston over 500 for the first time this year, only 4 games out. The Red Sox have won 8 of their last 10. They have won 3 in a row. The Yankees have won 2 in a row. Cha-Cha says, what place are the Expos in? The Nationals, being the old Expos, they're in 4th place. 6.5 games out, Cha-Cha. How's that? The Central Division, Minnesota, they're really just opening up a little space. And the space they're opening up is a 4.5 game lead over Cleveland. Cleveland lost last night to Oakland, as I just said, and you heard the clip about Matt Chapman's walk-off homer. Minnesota has a doubleheader today against Detroit. This really is a weekend where I could see Minnesota opening up some distance between them and the competition. Let's see. But Minnesota leads Cleveland by 4.5, Detroit by 7.5. In the West, well, what we kind of thought would happen, right? Houston's opening up ground now on the competition. They are 5 games ahead of Seattle. They are 5.5 games ahead of the Angels and the Rangers. And they are 6.5 games ahead of the Oakland Athletics, the Swinging A's, in last place in the American League West. So that's a look at our standings this morning. Now, got a lot of material to cover, don't I? Tell you what. What I'd like to do for a moment is look at the week to come. And I don't do this very often, but I want to look at 2 start pitchers for the upcoming week. And if you're with me, let me know what you think about these guys. I'm going to tell you the ones I think are must starts. Okay, I got 5. You ready? Unholy Toledo says, good spot for Pineda today. It's a great spot for Pineda, Unholy Toledo. Any pitcher against the Tigers is a great spot at home. The Tigers strike out at an exorbitant rate, and I look for Pineda to have a whale of a game today. I really do. So let's see. Pretty much in my lineup need Lindor, Trout. Oh, that's Lou Landers talking. Let's get into our Don't Think Twice segment about two-start pitchers. All right. The 5 that I like this week, here we go. Jose Berrios. He will pitch Monday against the Angels, and then he is scheduled to pitch Saturday at Seattle. I love Jose Berrios next week. If you have him, start him. The second two-start pitcher I love next week is Charlie Morton. He pitches on Tuesday in Miami against the Marlins. He pitches on Sunday in New York against the Yankees. I love Charlie Morton next week. Aaron Nola pitches on Monday against the Brewers in Philly, and he pitches on Saturday in Philly against Colorado. Now, if that game had been in Colorado, I wouldn't like it, but I just have a feeling about Nola coming around this week. I like him in both of those starts. Shane Bieber for Cleveland. On Monday, he's at the White Sox. And on Sunday, he's at home against the Orioles. Love Shane Bieber. And fifth, Jack Flaherty on Tuesday is in Atlanta, and on Sunday is in Texas. Now, of those 5 right there, I like Berrios, I like Morton, and I like Bieber. They're my top 3. Nola and Flaherty are sort of my B pitchers, if you will. Okay? Cha-Cha says Berrios is an automatic. No doubt about it. Against the Angels at home and at Seattle, I love Berrios. I think he can have double-digit strikeouts in both games. So Berrios, load up on some Berrios, load up on some Morton, load up on some Bieber. Also, consider Nola, consider Flaherty. Their matchups aren't as favorable as the other 3, but still I think they're extremely good pitchers in fairly good situations with good offenses to back them up. Okay, and that's another thing. I love a pitcher with a great offense, and Nola and Flaherty have great offenses behind them. Now, here's some other two-start options that you may want to consider, and I only hesitate for certain reasons. Let me tell you why. Kyle Hendricks. Okay, he's pitching twice next week for the Cubs. He pitches at Cincinnati on Tuesday and at Washington on Sunday. Now, Hendricks is coming off 2 great outings. You know, he had a complete game shutout against the Cardinals, in which I think he only threw like 88 pitches, right? I mean, that is just an incredible outing when you can throw a complete game and only throw 88 pitches. Well, depends on what kind of league you're in. If you're in a category league, I don't like him as much. If you're in a points league, I like him more. But he's hot right now. Now, my hesitation. The Reds' offense is better. Okay, it is better. Senzel is playing regularly. And I think by the time we get to Sunday, the Nationals will have Soto back. Rendon is healthy. So it's not the Nationals team of 2 weeks ago. So I think the offenses that Hendricks will be facing this coming week are better than they have been. Still think he's going to return some value. And Kyle Hendricks is a 2-pitch pitcher this coming week. I think you start him, but I do have some hesitancy, and you've heard that. Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray pitched a great game his last outing. Okay? This week on Monday, he's at home against the Pirates, and on Sunday, he's at home against the Giants. I love me some Robbie Ray. I love me some Robbie Ray. Yes, I do. Okay, now I know he's failed to go 6 innings in 3 straight starts. I'm all on that. Okay, I've looked at the stats. However, he's facing the Pirates and he's facing the Giants. 2, you got to say, below average offenses, right? So this coming week, I love Robbie Ray as a 2-starter. Now I want to talk about some pitchers that I don't love so much. 2-star pitchers. In fact, I'm going to put these guys on the bench. Brad Peacock. Although in his last start, Peacock did strike out 12. Okay. And I probably, in one of my leagues, I own him, and I was ready to drop him. I feel good about his game on Monday. All right? Because Monday, he's at Detroit. A pitcher's park and an offense that can strike out a lot. Love that a lot. I love that matchup. My hesitancy with Peacock, and come on, guys, talk to me. It's the fact that this coming week, on Sunday, he's in Boston. at the Red Sox at Fenway Park, I think the Red Sox will eat his lunch. And I just don't like to have Peacock for a 2-start week because of that second matchup. 2 more pitchers with 2-start weeks that I want to talk about specifically. I'm going to run through the others briefly. Kyle Freeland. All right. Last year he was awesome. This year he is awful. Check out who he's pitching against this week. If nothing else, make sure if he's on your team, you put Kyle Freeland on the bench right now for next week. Because Tuesday, he's pitching at Fenway Park, and on Sunday, he's pitching in Philadelphia. I mean, come on. Do I want Kyle Freeland against the Red Sox and Phillies? Absolutely no way, Jose, do I want that. He's on my bench, and you should put him there too. Folty. Mike Foltynewicz for Atlanta. He's got some tough matchups this week. Don't start him. Don't start him. Tuesday, the Cardinals. Sunday, the Brewers. Okay? I think he's overowned. I think he's overused. I don't want him on my starting lineup in either of those 2 matchups. So I'm putting Freeland and I'm putting Folty if I owned them, which I don't. But if I did, on my bench. Now, there are other pitchers who are owned in less than 50% of leagues. I'm going to go through those real quick. Brandon Woodruff. He's at Philadelphia and at Atlanta. I don't like those matchups. Jared Eichhoff. He's at home against the Brewers and the Rockies. I don't like that matchup. Tyler Skaggs. He's at Minnesota and home against Kansas City. I do like that matchup. As a sleeper, I'd kind of go with Tyler Skaggs this week. And then finally, Sonny Gray. He's had some bad luck. I've watched Sonny Gray pitch this year. He's looked pretty good. His numbers don't show it, but his ball's got movement. It's got life. I'm liking Sonny Gray. But this week he's got the Cubs at home and the Dodgers at home, and he pitches at Great American Ballpark, and it's a launching pad, right? It's what the Atlanta Braves Park used to be in the 90s. It's a launching pad. I don't like him against the Cubs. I don't like him against the Dodgers. So I'm sitting Sonny Gray. And that's a look at the 2-start pitchers for the upcoming week. Now, how's my trivia question coming? I don't see an answer from anybody, right? On this date in 1996, May 11, 1996, I got to give you some clues here. Miami Marlin history. Okay, so here we go. I ask you what happened. I'm going to tell you what happened. Then I'm going to let you tell me who it was. How about that? It was the first no-hitter in Marlins history. May 11, 1996. So tell me, who was the pitcher? Come on. Who was the pitcher that threw the first no-hitter in Marlins history on this date, May 11, 1996? You know, in the last few shows that I've had, guys, I've spent some time talking about upcoming rookies. And it's not just enough to talk about them, it's to give you some material to base a decision on. Okay? And I want to talk about a few rookies this morning, and hopefully, I've picked 4 actually to talk about. And these are 4 that I think will be up this month. I think they'll be up in May. Now, maybe I'm wrong. But I got some basis for it, and let's start with the Gwinnett Brave, Austin Riley. Okay. Austin Riley, I'm going to tell you about his last game, and we'll talk about him and what his blocks are and what his strengths are and all that, okay? So let's talk about Austin Riley first. Last night, I'm looking at the box score. Gwinnett beat Pawtucket 8-4, and Austin Riley batted second in the lineup. He went 2 for 5, okay? And he had an RBI. He's batting .308 now on the season with a 1.055 OPS. But what is most significant to me about last night's box score is not the stats. It's the position played, okay? He played right field last night. Now, on Wednesday night, he went 3 for 4 with a walk, 2 home runs, and 3 RBIs. He has I think unquestionably been the hottest hitter in the International League. If not the